All right, here we are again. So I had a really weird experience. I'm also trying to stream to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So I had a really weird experience where I got a whole bunch done by turning the stream on, so I don't end up watching a bunch of YouTube videos and, you know, wasting my life. So let's get this starty parted. I am editing a podcast today in Adobe Premiere. Let's see if I can boom this. Yeah. So I'm editing a podcast today in Adobe Premiere. Oh yeah, I forgot. This has terrible framing. Nope. Don't look over there. All right, good. So yeah, I am editing a multi-camera podcast in Adobe Premiere. I have been editing multi-camera projects for a very long time. Oh, you're all going to hear that too, aren't you? Let's see. Oh, damn. Oh yeah, I do want a free TV. So a fun fact, I was filming a project for my friend on a Blackmagic 6K Pro, and I thought bringing my monitor and plugging it into the computer or the camera with an HDMI cable would work. And guess what? It doesn't. It says the frame rate or whatever, the frequency doesn't match. Now, that makes sense because we were shooting in 24 frames a second, and most computer monitors only do like 30 or 60. So excuse the noise. I am just setting up NDI. So I have an OBS bot in front of me, and it's transmitting through Wi-Fi, an HD signal, and I'm recording that on my laptop over there, or my work laptop that they let me use. And yeah, so now I turned on vMix's NDI stuff so that, oh, there we go. Wow, it works. It just works, man. I love this stuff. All right, so let's hide all that good, juicy stuff. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see my lists of wild programs or how much of that is games. Do we? Okay, there we go. Yeah, you know, this, maybe I'll hide this too. Boop, over there. All right, here we go. So yeah, that's my desktop. I've activated the NDI vMix desktop capture for NDI. To get this to work on my computer, I installed the NDI tools, and then I installed vMix desktop capture. Though it's not really install, you just like download a folder and open it and run it out of it. There's no install, which is great. What we use this for a lot is that I work and we stream. Oh, here's the folder. Okay. We stream a lot of conferences and stuff, and sometimes we have a presenter come on and we can't run a cable all the way to their computer to capture their PowerPoint because we're at the back of the room filming. So sometimes if we've have a good network in the hotel or conference center, we will throw this little executable on their desktop and they can run it and it will share things with us. I've never tried before the last time we did this 2 days ago, I've never tried to share sorry, I'm just watching things load. I've never tried to share like a full 30 frames a second screen. Usually it's all just been like PowerPoint stuff, which, you know, can be like 1 frame a second or half a frame a second. So let's see if the sound comes through, because that's the thing that worries me, is the sound. Before we were doing this, the whole first stream, my very first attempt at streaming was kind of garbage because I think the audio for the tail air turned on, so we couldn't hear it. However, this time, let's see.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, there it is, baby. All right, nice. So, yeah, this guy, this young man is named Phil. He is a DOP. He's very talented. He's also very nice. As a tech guy, most people don't realize I'm also the person making the entire podcast, so I just sort of sit in the back and I'm anonymous. And up until now, all of our guests, or so far all of our guests, have been super awesome to the random nerd in the back of the room. Though they're all film people, so they're all kind of random nerds as well. What I wanted to do today was really get this edited down. We have 11 episodes in the can, and we have 3 episodes that I've like finished and polished and uploaded, and I'd like to get 2 or 3 more done, and then I'm really going to start pushing the rest of the team to help with like promotion, coming up with text and links for the YouTube channel, or the comments, and I got to set up Podbean and crap. So there's a huge amount of work, and I only really, since I've shot this and edited it, I don't really want to do any more of the work. But I have a subscription to Minvo, which you can send it YouTube links, and it's like a AI creates like portrait style stories from a standard landscape video. It's also super early in the morning. So, all right. Who are we going to edit? Who out of this? Let's see. We did Mike Sankey. We did Kaylee Sherman. I don't know how to say her name. Lovely, lovely people. Neil McBride, I'm going to save for later because that man is charisma personified. I don't know if I can handle it this early. Sterling Bancroft is, yeah, those people. Maybe Todd. Yeah, it's wild when a DP, director of photography, is all like, I'm going to take up painting, and then ends up having like showings in London. Yeah, I wish I was a genius. Just saying. Or yeah, Dana Barnaby, another DOP who's just like, oh, I'm going to be a brewmaster. I'm going to make whiskey. I'm going to play guitar. Man, I'm just such a failure compared to these people. Oh, sweet. Concurrent viewers, none. Concurrent viewers, none. Nice. I think I'm my only viewer. Awesome. That's okay. I don't actually want people to watch this. If you are watching this, turn it off. This is not for you. This is strictly for me. I have a terrible memory. Literally, I live in a fog and I forget things like people and events and parts of my life. It's wild. So let's just start at the top. So you can see me here. This is my embarrassingly organized system. What do we got here? Circus episode fill. What did I do? Oh yeah, that's the ugly one. So I'm really trying to clean things up, and unfortunately, our first few episodes, the audio is terrible. Yeah, it's really bad. All right, so first things first. This is not the cleaned up one. All right, let's do this. So we're gonna clean up fill old. Now we're gonna clean up fill. All right. Oh, it's already been cleaned up. Cool. So what I was trying to do is the audio was kind of crap on this, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it through the compression. And this is, oh man, we went through like I went through 6 different iterations, and fancy intros, fancy outros, and the end. In the end, it brought you back to me. So, all right, let's see what this looks like.
This is Crew Tales, Life in the Circus. In the motion picture world, there are an army of dedicated professionals who work behind the scenes to make the movies and shows we watch today. I'm Brad Hodson, and I've spent over 30 years in the motion picture industry. This podcast celebrates the people who make the magic behind the scenes. Hello, Phil, and welcome. The magic behind the scenes. Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography. And I like to think I take a script and a director's vision and interpret that vision visually, then create that interpretation for the editor to edit and come out the other side as a visual story. So um, there's many ways. If you tell a story, you can tell it in many different ways. Um, by being
Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
Scenes. Hello, Phil. Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it. Brad, happy to be here.
Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography. Um,
Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography. And I like to think I take a script and a director's vision and interpret that vision visually, then create that interpretation for the editor to edit and come out the other side as a visual story. So um, there's many ways. If you tell a story, you can tell it in many different ways. By being let's say warm.
All right, all right, kids. Um, People say a lot. I say a lot. It's terrible. It's like a verbal tick. It's verbal filler words. Now, Premiere has set up a thing where you can auto remove them, and I wasn't making fun of anyone for saying I'm just noticing I say it a lot too. Premiere set up something where it just cuts them out. It scans there it is. It uses the text thing, and you can actually search and delete it, but I don't recommend it. So people are messaging me. Hold on. Yes. All right, cool. So I'm gonna have to put on my dorky earmuffs, be king of the dork parade, but this is so that I can talk while editing. But what we're gonna do on this timeline is we are going to go through and we are going to clean it up. All right, here we go. That's not showing up. That is not showing up. All right, here we go, folks. Let's get this going. Settings. Audio source. One, two. No. All right, let's try to restart this. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to restart all of the things. So We're going to lose. Boom. Going to get rid of that. Actually, no, you know what? We're going to. So as you can see, I'm going to shut this down. Kill that. All right. And that just froze. You can't see anything. So now I'm going to load it up again. What I wanted to do is I plugged in my Scarlett media interface. Okay, there we are. We're back. We're back. Excellent. All right, I'm going to move that over here. We're going to fire up Adobe Premiere. We're going to open the Circus podcast episodes editing. Love my free shirt. I got an NAB. I've been been there as press a number of times, and I'm getting really good at just walking up and going, "Give me the swag."
Let's say warmer or cool.
All right, so let's start from the beginning, and the first things we're going to do is we are going to set up the beginning, and then I will cut the hell out of this. But first, we're going to steal my modern lower third, Circus 1. Gonna copy and paste this here. Lovely, very nice. Man, the audio is terrible on this bad boy. I won't lie to you. If you got earphones,
Welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography.
Okay, now Phil is special. He is an advanced cinematographer, which means that he has a CSC after his name, the Canadian Society of Cinematography. Unfortunately, is he though? Oh, is it somebody else? Oh, it might be someone else. No, it's not him. He is too young. Oh, those young bucks. All right, let's get this done. I'm probably going to get in crap too if I'm wrong because, man, they work their ass off to get that CSC after their name, and you really can't forget it. As a guy who is a camera assistant, they will crucify you if you do not get it on the slate. You know, it only takes like decades of your life and being a genius, but whatever. It's not like I'll ever be in it. So it's funny because DP, people say DOP, people say DP, and the funny thing is it's because
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
DP means displaced person or something else in adult film context, but yeah, we won't go into that. Let's see. Let's fix this up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I love, you know what? If anybody out there making Mogurts for Premiere, there are these like essential graphic templates things. Most of them suck balls. Like, holy crap, they suck so bad. Why do they suck, you might add? Look at this. Look at how like I change it and it's just quick. It's like carefree. It's running through the fields with its hair flowing. It's beautiful. Blonde hair, blue. Yeah. It just runs. It doesn't kill
Thanks,
my
Brad.
machine.
Happy to be here.
Most of them don't do that.
In your words,
Most of them
what do you do for a living?
All right. So that's good. Like most of them, it's like you look at it and your computer freezes. And then they're like, oh, you don't have enough RAM. And it's like, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but that might not actually be the case. The other thing, I kind of wonder if these are better. I did all this work with like a noise removal plugin in Audacity before I learned how to use the noise gate functionality. And I don't know.
And interpret that vision visually, then create that.
You know what? That's not terrible. Let's copy and paste this, shall we? Remove attributes. Yes. Paste attributes. Paste the attributes, my child. All right, let's see what this looks like. Also, part of the reason, oh dear, just puked on me. All right, let's close that panel-y thing. Here we go.
Hello, Phil, and welcome to the circus.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography. Um, and I like to think I take a script and a director's vision and interpret that vision visually, then create that interpretation for the editor to edit and the other side as a visual story. So um, there's many ways. If you tell a story, you can tell it in many different ways. Um, by being um, thanks, Brad. Happy to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography.
I should find out which one he
And
wants in
I
his
like to
title.
think I take a script and a director's vision and interpret that vision visually, then create that interpretation for the editor to edit and come out the other side as a visual story. So,
Okay, we're gonna start cutting ums. Boom, boom. And this is how you make people sound more authoritative.
so there's many.
Yeah, see?
So there's many ways. If you tell a story, you can tell it in many different ways. By being let's say warmer or cooler. By being let's say warmer or cooler or more camera movement or less camera movement or closer to the actor or farther away. All those have an effect on how the audience perceives the story. And so those are the choices that a cinematographer makes to craft.
Here's the magic.
To craft.
We want to see, even I do it. So we switch to camera.
A story that supports it in a way that's digestible for the audience and in a way that's digestible.
Now, Adobe Premiere 4 or 2024 has a way to do this automatically. I don't love it though. It's kind of wonky and doesn't really, yeah.
Digestible for the audience and hopefully enjoyable for the audience or thought-provoking for the audience.
Hear that? It's
How
like
did you get here? Describe your journey to become a cinematographer.
I started.
All right, let's go. Boom.
I started as an actor. First of all, my dad was a photographer, so we always had cameras around.
All right, you know what? Let's just change. Let's try putting this back on and let's crank the pot. Oh, it is already. All right.
On the house, and I was very interested in photography and videography, and just the film industry and entertainment in general. And so in high school,
another thing is I think that people say more when they're like this, and I just don't. I feel like there's less ums when we have people at a table and they're sort of like engaged in stuff.
And so,
all right. The other one too is that I don't want to cut all of them out because it's both a massive amount of work, but then it starts to make him sound like Phil is obviously a very thoughtful man. That's what usually ums mean, is that his brain is reprocessing information.
I was very interested in photography and videography, and just the film industry and entertainment in general. And so in high school, I was an actor. I was the lead of the high school play, and we won competitions with our acting group, and I was very much interested in that. And when I left high school,
even ands can be verbal filler words. Let's just take another look.
In that, when I left high school to be an actor, went to a few cattle calls and tried to get an agent, and realized that maybe I wanted to make films and that I could put myself and other friends in, and that was quite interesting to me. So I kind of started down the path of learning how to make films.
It's also funny with like a bunch of camera people in a room trying to do audio.
And not only do you just make films and dramatic series, which you have quite a list on your resume of, but you've done some documentary as well. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the docs you've done?
Yeah, so I worked on a series called I Am. Did I Am Heath Ledger, I Am Richard Pryor, and they're just looking at people's lives, entertainers' lives.
Okay, we're gonna start. Just boom, boom. Change that to 4.
Entertainers' lives.
Let's check that again.
People's lives, entertainers' lives, interesting people, and how their lives were kind of lived. So we go back in time and find, we go back in time.
All right.
We go back in time and find, supporting films and photographs, interview people from their lives to talk about them, and kind of get an overall portrayal of their life, and for an audience to think about.
Describe some of the differences between dramatic and documentary in your position.
Differences between dramatic and documentary from a cinematographer's perspective. Dramatic is a little more of a puzzle that you're building. So you're taking different parts of the script and you're interpreting them and kind of creating a story. And documentary.
I do have to say I really like how Phil pauses with the ums because it makes it very easy to cut them out. We love
and
pauses.
Documentary,
We love pauses.
You're a little more going to where.
Let's check that.
A story. And documentary, you're a little more going to where the story is and capturing it, and then putting the puzzle pieces together. So it's kind of the difference between, in photography, sometimes we say you're making a picture or you're taking a picture. And I think dramatic work is more about making the picture, and documentary is more about taking the picture. So documentary is a lot more. Documentaries a lot more sort of in the moment, being ready for anything, and thing. And kind of being very aware of your surroundings and space, and tuning into what's happening and being ready to capture that at any moment.
Do you have a preference of one to the other?
I really think they inform each other. A lot of times on a dramatic show, you can get too lost in the details, too lost into the scheduling and the logistics of the show, and you lose that kind of in the moment perspective, which scheduling and the logistics of the show, and you lose that kind of in the moment perspective, which is a lot.
So a lot of times I only want to cut to the wide camera on shorter.
Which is a lot of times where the magic happens.
We got this blue behind him. It's nice.
Spontaneity happens,
light, by the
which
way.
audiences can really connect with. So if you do documentary work and then take that kind of ideology to a large kind of dramatic show where kind of dramatic show where everything's planned out. Kind of dramatic show where everything's planned. To a large kind of dramatic show where everything's planned out.
You know, people are always like, why do you want to charge so much for editing? It's like, because it's sitting alone in a room doing highly detailed work. And after a certain point, I'm not 21 anymore. I don't want to do this.
You can bring back some of that life and spontaneity. And vice versa, if you take your dramatic kind of concepts when you're lighting a large space or lighting for a kind of this perfect image, it makes you kind of quicker at doing that in real time documentary. So your documentaries can look better, higher production value, even though you are being very. Documentaries can look better, higher production value, even though you are being very kind of aware and moving with life. Yeah.
Your job, what in particular would you put up on the top 3 favorite things you do? What is it about your job that you find most satisfying?
Yeah. Yeah. The most satisfying parts of my job, I don't know if I can give you 3, but I know there's the one thing. It's when you plan a shot and you execute it and you see it back, and it has not only the shot that you planned for, but it has something more, and that's that inexplainable something. It has that effect that you were going for. It has that emotional connection that people look at it and go, wow, I resonate with that. I can see it, or I feel something there. When you create that inexplainable, I always say, like,
let's see if we can do this. It's a big chunk. I'm going to cut like a minute off this in the end.
Create that inexplainable. I always say, like, cinematography is about exploring life beyond words, because we use cinematography and photography as a communication method where words end.
Maybe this is why I'm not very good at cinematography and photography. I'm just a shitty communicator.
So we can actually communicate thoughts and feelings that are inexplainable to by words.
I feel stupid.
On that, would you say you had a particular style? I mean, we can watch movies and say, oh, well, we know who shot that. Would you consider yourself someone who has a particular style in the way they shoot?
There's a few different approaches to this job, and one is to say, I am this. I only shoot documentaries, or I only shoot action films, or whatever it may be, and you become that person. You're the person that shoots, whatever you've chosen. I don't subscribe to that for myself. I enjoy the storytelling process, and whatever genre is around that, I'm going to explore that genre and lean into it and try and discover it in my own way. So in that sense, I don't have a style.
Boom,
but there's
cut
many
that one. Yeah, another 4 seconds. Always check, always check.
Into it and try and discover it in my own way. In that sense, I don't have a style, but there's many kind of patterns I fall into as far as who I hire and the crew that I surround myself with, and the equipment that I surround myself with, sort of creates a bit of a pattern in my lighting and a pattern in my camera movement that you could call a style.
And I, as always, I'm assuming too, a director can come to you.
Oh, Brad, got a little trim for you. Hello, sir. Let's see if we can fix this one up.
Style.
As always, I'm assuming too, a director can come to you and say, look, I'm looking for something a little bit like this. And you can, film is collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Motion picture industry is all about collaboration. So it could be a director that come up to you and said, well, for this episode or even this movie, I would like to see a little more of this. And that's something that you can interpolate through their words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a big collaboration. When I say I'm creating a style or a genre, that is all through.
Wait, is there a syncing issue? Oh shit! What the fuck is going on?
Could be a director that come up to you and said, well, for
What's going on? Yeah, you got to be really careful with this stuff because it comes unsynced really easily. So let's just see what this does.
As always, I'm assuming too, a director can come to you and say, look, I'm looking for something a little bit like this. And you can, film is collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Motion picture industry is all about collaboration. So it could be a director that come up to you and said, well, for this episode or even this movie, I would like to see a little more of this. And that's something that you can interpolate through their words, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a big collaboration. When I say I'm creating a style or a genre, that is all through, first of all, a script that's written. So the director and producer get that, figure out how to do it budgetarily.
Sorry, I'm just putting the noise gate on here.
You could call a style.
As always, I'm assuming too, a director can come to you and say, look, I'm looking for something a little bit like this. And you can, film is collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Motion picture industry is all about collaboration. So it could be a director that come up to you and said, well, for this episode or even this movie, I would like to see a little more of this. And that's something that you can interpolate through their words, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a big collaboration. When I say I'm creating a style or a genre, that is all through, first of all, the script that's written. So the director and producer get that, we figure out how to do it budgetarily, and then we also figure out how to do it emotionally and through actors, and the final image is really a conversation between the director, the art director, and the director of photography.
Is it always that way, or have you ever been on a project where they
director of photography?
Is it always that way, or have you ever been on a project where they just said, Phil, it's all yours, do what you like?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that more for projects that are closer to your heart?
I've met some directors that may not have the technical vocabulary.
Oh, I killed it. So I'm just trying to tweak the audio here. I have my big earmuffs on so that I can get a better sense of things. A lot of people listen to podcasts in their car. Cars are actually pretty good stereo systems a lot of the time, so you really want to...
The art director and the director of photography.
Is it always that way, or have you ever been on a project where they just said, "Phil, it's all yours. Do what you like," or is that more for projects that are closer to your heart?
I've met some directors that may not have the technical vocabulary or knowledge, but everybody can describe a feeling, and that's all I need to really collaborate with. If you can describe to me or show me some reference images about what kind of feeling you want to portray for a given scene or a show, then we can work together. I can take over the technical know-how and put together the pieces that we need to accomplish that.
Right. You also shot in film, like predominantly these days we shoot entirely digital. But you've also shot film. Can you describe a little bit some of the hurdles or some of the changes that you found most prominent during the transition from film to video, or film to digital rather?
Are you looking for the
transition of from film to video, or film to digital rather?
Are you looking for speaking about the transition itself or the differences between the two?
How would it affect your job? Obviously, you could describe even too how film reacts differently than digital, for example.
Film, the transition from film to digital affected my
than digital, for example.
The transition from film to digital affected my job actually in a very good way. My career was built at a time...
Oh, we're going to cut that out. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room.
My career was built at a time when digital was first starting out and there was a bit of resistance to using it. And that allowed me to actually get some work because I bought a digital camera early and allowed me to kind of like show my chops, where film was very prohibitive, the cost of it. And you had to kind of know people to borrow a camera and talk to rental houses to try and get them to lend you equipment. Of purchasing or was just not an option. So politically it worked very well.
Okay.
Get them to lend you equipment of purchasing or was just not an option. So
all right, so yeah, I got another there. I'll move this over to here. Boom. Boom.
It's just not an option. So politically it worked very well. I still think that we lost.
I wonder, can we just boop that out? Are they going to tell because it's a crappy wide?
Very well. I still think that we lost some workflow, some workflow advantages with film. The changing of the mag kind of gave everybody a break for a second to think about what they were doing. There was definitely a lot more care and time that goes
So we just learned something, folks. It's easier to cut out ums on the wide because it's just not a detailed photo. They're a little wider. People aren't looking as close. Definitely. Yeah.
Into every shot when you're spending $1 a foot or whatever it was. There was a lot more kind of like reverence and respect for the image, I think, where in digital you can kind of shoot all day and change it. There's not the same kind of pressure to make it perfect and right.
Failure.
Okay, we're gonna edit. I got another 20 minutes of this, and then we're gonna edit one where they're seated at a table like human beings, because like you will notice such a difference. And man, that is a terrible shot. Obsbot, come on, your AI framing sucks. All right, what I'm gonna do is log into my Obsbot camera with my phone and tell it to frame up a little, because like, ugh, buddy, come on. It's got some terrible stuff. All right. AI framing. Change this to the... It's already up. Oh, you're terrible. Man. Box select the object for tracking. Is that going to work? Oh, okay. Not terrible. All right. Framing sucks my balls. Sucks. All right, let's do this. And yes, I know this place is a mess.
Phil, you just received a presidential award by the CSC for outstanding service. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What brought that on? What was the impetus to getting that award?
So the CSC has done a lot of growing in the past few years. In 2020, I was working on a show, Star Trek Discovery, and they decided to shoot on a virtual production stage. Virtual production stage is basically, instead of green screen, we use large LED panels to project the background image. And so I kind of had 2 seasons of virtual production shooting knowledge, skill, that I felt the responsibility to share that knowledge with other cinematographers. It was kind of a young technology at the time. It still is, but a lot more people are starting to use it and understand it. At the time, the CSE was looking to put together education on advancing technologies. And part of that was virtual production. So the CSE asked me to put together a curriculum. I brought in Andy Brown and Marco Basso, and together we built
those guys.
A curriculum around virtual production. And we put on 2 master classes, one in Toronto and one in Vancouver. And this really helped the CSC.
Okay, this is making me worry because he's saying CSC a bunch like he's got CSC after his name. Oh, what are you doing there, guys? The fuck? Alright, let's just look this guy up. You bastard! Bro, your email signature needs to say CSC. Poor schmucks like me trying to do their best, make you look good, and you're not even going to make it easy for me to not screw up, and then everyone's going to hate me because I didn't put CSC after your name, and I'm supposed to know better, but it's not in your... Alright. Beep. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Oh, I love this. They're going to hate that because it's supposed to be lowercase. But this entire text is uppercase. I can't change... Oh, they're going to get mad at me that it's not lowercase, but this title system doesn't do lowercase. Oh, man, I'm not looking forward to that conversation.
Basically, instead of green screen, we use large LED panels to project the background image. And so I kind of had 2 seasons of virtual production shooting knowledge, skill, that I felt the responsibility to share that knowledge with other cinematographers. It was kind of a young technology at the time. It still is, but a lot more people are starting to use it and understand it. At the time, the CSE was looking to put together education on advancing technologies. And part of that was virtual production. So the CSE asked me to put together a curriculum. I brought in Andy Brown and Marco Basso, and together we built many things, but at its base, it means in-camera visual effects. Actually, a complete surprise to me. I got an email one day saying I would be the recipient of this award, and it was very nice to be recognized for that work.
Could you share a little bit of the difference? Green screen is kind of commonly known, especially in digital effects. We kind of see that quite a bit. How is the virtual wall different from a green screen?
So green screen, there's kind of a blanket term, virtual production. Virtual production can mean many things, but at its base, it means in-camera visual effects. And even in camera is loose because it could just be on your monitor. So you can actually use green screen for virtual production. If you're tracking your camera and you're replacing that background in real time, and that's what you see on the monitor, that can be virtual production. So the in-camera visual effects is the part where we use an LED wall in place of green screen. We track motion on our camera, and we use video game technology and software to project backgrounds built in a game engine. Project backgrounds built in a game engine, and those backgrounds update in real time as we move our camera. Parallax, the relationship between objects changes and moves as we move our camera in the stage. So it gives a very realistic effect.
I expect that helps performances for actors as well.
Yeah, virtual production can really help performances for actors because they feel like they're in the space. You know, you're really in this cave or forest or wherever it is. And
All right, he gave us a really cool video clip I'm just going to put in here while I stress quietly about the fact that I can't capitalize my frickin' letters.
place of green screen, we track motion on our camera, and we use video game technology and software to project backgrounds built in a game engine, and those backgrounds update in real time as we move our camera.
All right, of course it's portrait, you know, for the Insta. Let me get the cool, sexy mountain in there. Yeah, all right, let's try this.
D-wall in place of green screen. We track motion on our camera, and we use video game technology and software to project backgrounds built in a game engine, and those backgrounds update in real time as we move our camera. Parallax, the relationship between objects changes and moves as we move our camera in the stage. So it gives a very realistic effect.
I expect that helps performances for actors as well.
Yeah, virtual production can really help performances for actors because they feel like they're in the space. You know, you're really in this cave or forest or wherever it is. And also, as cinematographers, we get this very complex lighting, very much like it is in the real world. You know, you have, let's say you're in a forest, you have your trees, you know, your green trees, your brown ground, and you have kind of this white in the sky. Well, that can kind of represent itself in the face. So you can kind of get these very complex lighting, and it can feel quite realistic. Also reflections in eyeballs, or, you know,
Armor.
say you had a shiny outfit. All of that would look quite realistic. And
vehicle paint, glasses, etc.
Correct.
So what you're saying is the light from the LED screen can behave similar to ambient light outside. So
yes,
it's a different way of, as opposed to a green screen where it's all you, and in fact you have to avoid the green coming off of the green screen to, say, the actor's skin, for example. Coming off of the green screen to, say, the actor's skin.
Yeah, exactly. A green stage can have a lot of green spill on the actors. You can get it in the face, and a lot of what we're doing at that point is trying to light the actors in a way that we're reducing the green spill on them. And then it can look quite, generally, green screen lighting can look quite just flat, because also as cinematographers, sometimes you don't know exactly what's going to be on the background. There might be some discussion on it. You might have some drawings. At best, you're going to see, you know, some still images of what's going to be in the background, so you can get kind of cues about lighting. But you're generally lighting it a little more just generally, whereas in a virtual production stage or an in-camera VFX stage, you can see that the sky's over there, and I can place another light as motivation and enhance that lighting from that sky, and it's all going to sync up.
And my understanding is, too, you could change the time of day real time as well, could you not?
Yeah, there's a lot of real-time adjustments you can do. You can move the sun, you can change the sky. It's all dependent on a processor, so it depends on the stage's computer processing power, or how many graphics cards they have. The more they have, the more adjustments in real time they can do. And the software is getting better as well in Unreal. In the later versions of Unreal, past 5, you get real time updates and lighting as well.
So you'd have to build this virtual
as well.
So you'd have to build this virtual set, as it were. So if I'm the production team, I say, hey, Phil, we're going to be shooting in the Arctic, for example, or bad example, some structure in the Arctic. That has to be built along with the environment itself. Does that take long, or I assume
It does, and it depends, there's smaller stages. There's smaller sets. There's, typically as an example, on a Star Trek Discovery set, our stage is 70 feet wide by 120 feet long. It's a horseshoe. So we have to build everything, what we call outside the stage or in VFX world, we have to build that as a set. And then we have to physically build what's inside the set as well. And those two have to match. So we're scanning objects and virtual them in the virtual world, and we're taking virtual 3D objects and we're building them in the art department world, and we're matching paint textures and colors, and so that it can be a bit of a process to blend it, as we say, to keep it all cohesive as one world. But once it starts to happen and syncs up, it really, from the camera's perspective, feels like one cohesive world.
So it saves you time in the end, but it takes a long time to set up and construct these sets and the virtual set as well.
It can. The tools are getting a lot quicker. So, and there's also libraries of sets that you can buy. So, as an independent filmmaker, or kind of doing it on a low budget scale, there's kind of options to download sets and download sets and use them right away. If you're not seeing the floor, then you don't necessarily have to build a physical set. Maybe putting some objects between you and the wall to break it up and give yourself a bit of a mid-ground can help, sell the effect. But it kind of depends what you're doing and backgrounds is. If you see feet, it's usually a lot more money.
Where do you see the future of this virtual technology? Do you think it's going to replace all film sets? It's going to replace working outside?
Sorry, Brad, I ain't cutting your ums.
A tool used for a specific kind of movie?
I certainly don't see it replacing everything we do. I do see it becoming more prevalent.
Oh, shit. Oh, man, what did we lose? Oh, no. Boo. Yes.
A tool used.
Yes, my computer is not
a
that
tool
fast.
Used for a specific kind of movie.
I certainly don't see it replacing everything we do. I do see it becoming more prevalent. I see a world where a lot of shows have some component of their script shot on a VFX stage. It's just way easier to shoot on a VFX stage than to go to Mars. It's very hard to bring your crew there, and You can build a Mars set outside, but it's just not going to look right.
Unless you're Kubrick.
Or whatever planet you want to insert there. There's some locations you just can't go to, and so that's where it really shines. And there's also, advanced. There's also advantages to light. You can shoot sunsets for 5-6 hours at a time, and then it doesn't change. The light doesn't change. And there's advantages to weather as well. And there's advantages to weather as well. If you want to shoot in a snowstorm but don't actually want to be in a snowstorm, you can go there and do that. So I do see a big advantage to them, and I think they had a little hiccup with the strikes and kind of in taking off, but I feel there's still a want and a need to use them, and they just need pushing a little bit more for the kind of cost to come down and everybody to start to use them as well. There's some color challenges as well that manufacturers of panels are starting to overcome. The color is becoming more accurate, and some of the light quality is getting better. So I think we'll see more adoption for the short term.
Right. Speaking of virtual and kind of in the similar vein, has AI affected your part of the industry at all?
I think we see AI a lot more than we know at this point. I think there's a lot of AI going on right now, and we're seeing it, definitely in the YouTube, Instagram, social media spaces, and those can be precursors to higher end productions using them. To higher end productions using them. There's just so many efficiencies with AI that I think are just going to be undeniably accessible to producers who are working within a budget. And I think it's going to get adopted very rapidly. Some of these AI tools.
There's a school of thought that the more AI tools means more content, and more content means more things being shot. Would you agree with that? I mean, there's also a school where it says, well, AI is going to replace all our jobs, but I feel it's got to be somewhere in the middle. I think it's all about content. The more content, the more can be shot, the more money can be made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of people out there that want to make stories, and everybody has a social media feed. Everybody has access to a video camera in their pocket now, and more people are learning how to tell a story through that medium. And AI is just going to make that much more easier. So there'll be, I think, like you say, there'll be a lot more production with a changing of roles and shifting of jobs. I think there will be some jobs lost for sure, but there'll be new ones created. Whether it'll be even, I don't know. But just like when we saw the transition from film to digital, there were jobs created and jobs lost. Didn't need to load the camera anymore. And you didn't need projectionists, and you didn't need and you didn't need I don't know what else you didn't need. Well, but projectionists, and you didn't need I don't know what else you didn't need. Well, but DIT, and you didn't need but DITs were created, data management. You didn't need to load the camera anymore. But need to load the camera anymore. But DITs were created. Data management was camera anymore. DITs were created. More. But DIT. But anymore. But DITs were created. Data management was created. There were a ton of jobs in the post world were created. I see a lot of those jobs in posts getting affected first. The assistant editors, the assistant sound people, because AI is already starting to do a very good job of organizing footage. AI is already starting to do a very good job of organizing footage for us and creating music, creating some footage for us, and I think it's going to be a big shift.
Sure.
Footage for us, and I think it's going to be a big shift.
Sure. On that note, what advice would you give to someone up and coming who loves to watch movies, loves sci-fi, wants to make their own movies, and wants to get involved in business and do what you do? What advice would you give?
I think giving any advice I could give to somebody wanting to do this is do it. I try to not do this job for money. It's a great advantage, and obviously I'm very, very lucky to have made some how do I say this?
A living.
Made some how do I lucky to have made how do I say this?
A living.
Make a living off of it, yeah. But I think my approach has always been, what do I love about filmmaking, and if I can fulfill that creative need in me, then that's more important than money. I know that's easy to say, but I think that's what people connect with the most. Like, if you're a young filmmaker and you're creating something that means a lot to you, but I think that's what people I know that's easy to say. I think that's what people connect with the most. Like, if you're a young filmmaker and you're creating something that means a lot to you, people are going to connect with that, and I think people will ultimately will hire you and give you work based on that.
I think the beauty of it is, as opposed to 30 years ago where you had to have the money to pay for the film and processing of the film, now you could make a short on your phone, and in a short amount of time, you can send it to the world and get people to notice. And I think that's to an advantage for people who really want to work up the ladders. You can do yourself. It's way easier to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, enough about work. Okay, enough about work. Phil, what do you do outside of work to entertain yourself or just relax? I understand you recently came back from Alaska.
Yeah. My work and play really blend. Like, when I'm on a day off, I generally have a camera with me, and I'm looking for an interesting image or finding something that inspires me, or I like to create, no matter what. And similarly, when I'm at work, I'm having a lot of fun. So they both blend a lot. But yes, I went to Alaska on a motorcycle. A friend and I went up. We took 15 days, and I decided to shoot it, bring way too much film equipment, and make a little documentary out of it. We're editing it now, so I don't know when that'll be released, but yeah, what yeah, that'll be released. But yeah, what I like to do for fun beyond filmmaking, I enjoy exercise. I like getting out hiking, swimming, biking, motorcycling. All of those kind of keep me sharp and I enjoy exercise. I like getting out, hiking, swimming, biking, motorcycling. All of those kind of keep me sharp and able to do what I love to do most, which is work on a film set. I find film sets can be kind of the opposite of that. They can, you're sitting for long hours, you're maybe not eating the healthiest food, you're in studios often with a lot of smoke, and it can be a little damaging on your health. So whenever I get time off, I'm usually working on keeping up my mental and physical health.
Yeah, brilliant. What next for you? Short term, long term? Do you have any you have yet to fulfill? And I'll share those.
Yeah, next for me, I'm starting another show soon, so I'm deep in the prep process. I'm reading scripts daily and breaking them down and figuring out how to approach them. And so that'll take up my next 6 months of me going to Toronto, living and working there.
Phil, how do you think AI is going to affect virtual production?
I think AI and virtual production are going to start blending a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of AI tools for creating backgrounds, creating environments that you would like. And I think maybe a little farther down the road, AI will start doing some of the work that virtual production is doing. So. In-camera, real-time rotoscoping, cutting out people, and also I think they're I'm already seeing tools to relight people. So you may take your environment and light someone more flat, and then AI will kind of wrap them in the light that your background is in. So I see a world eventually where we may not need virtual production or green screen, that the camera's just going to know where that person is and be able to cut them out of the background. Now, there still is an argument for having an actor in the someone more flat, and then AI will kind of wrap them in the light that your background is in. So I see a world eventually where we may not need virtual production or green screen, that the camera's just going to know where that person is and be able to cut them out of the background. Now, there still is an argument for having an actor in the right environment so that their character feels a connection to their environment. I think that's going to be quite valid, but the cost of virtual production walls and stages is quite expensive, and I think there's going to be some productions that are using cheaper methods to do a similar result. Methods to do a similar result.
That can drop in.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be part of it.
Oh.
So Phil, let's talk equipment.
Mm-hmm.
What's in your kit, both on set professionally, and what do you use when you're out and about on the motorcycle and traveling? Well,
my basement office is way too messy with just stuff everywhere. I like stuff everywhere. I like every kind of camera. I have film cameras. I have film panning cameras, medium format. I like to shoot stills. I have action cameras, 360 cameras, all different kinds of lenses. Just anything to get an interesting image. I like playing with all that. I like shooting on my iPhone. I'll do scouts on my iPhone. And then professionally, I like using high-end cinema cameras and that kind of workflow where you're getting the best of the best image. But I really think the kind of newer cameras that are coming out, are creating spectacular images. The dynamic range and the color fidelity and the resolution is really quite stunning, and you can do a lot on a very low budget and small camera.
Professionally, do you have a lens favorite, or does it depend on the format of the show you're working on?
Yeah, it really depends. The lens choice really depends on the show I'm working on. Personal.
Man, I just wish a DP would come out and be like, I love this lens. It's the greatest lens in the world, so I know which one to lust after. The lens, not the DP.
Personal favorite is a Panavision C series.
There you go.
And that's a bit of a goat lens. It's the god of all things. It's I just love the complex flare characteristics you get out of them, and they really have a nostalgic kind of feel for me, and I really like those. Now I've been working in space for the last kind of 4 years, so that might have something to do with it. I think if I was on another show, I may fall in love with something else. But there's some vintage lenses that I like, that really have some character, and anything that kind of creates a mood.
One thing I always love to see when I'm on a set is you see the camera, which is probably a year old, and the lens, which is probably could be up to 60 years old.
Yeah.
I still find that astounding. And you talk to layman people where like, well, look, my iPhone can do 4K. Yeah, but the piece of plastic it shoots through kind of degrades a little bit.
It does, and it's really a subconscious thing. I mean, we have memories from childhood of these photographs of our parents and picnics or whatever. All of those were shot through glass that was made back then and tuned back then for a format back then, and those have a real effect on our subconscious. Like those really play into it. So when we're crafting emotion and connection with the audience, we're thinking about how that has an effect on the story. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, thank you for joining us at the circus.
Thanks, Brad.
Well, that about wraps it up for another episode of Crew Tales.
Hooray! Okay, there's only one last thing to do, friends, before I move on, which is also figuring out what the fuck to do about this lowercase. Seriously, like, I'm sure some of you at home are like, oh, he doesn't care. Dude, as a camera assistant, you have, like, the slate with the name, and if the CSC is capitals, they will send you back to the truck with some firm words, and you'll fix it. And I have no frickin' clue what to do about this. Reveal in project, modern lower thirds. Can we edit this in After Effects? Open, label, new bin from insert, reveal and explore, source settings, properties, modify, interpret footage. No, it ain't here, man. Open in source monitor, speed driven. Fucking Christ. This is what I mean, man. Like, Mogurt titles in After Effects or in Premiere are terrible. Like, there's no standards. There's like half the time the stuff they reveal to you is like useless. Oh, okay, I'll stop ranting because this is awkward. Boop. All right, let's do this. Okay, I take it all back. I'm a dumbass. Carry on.
Good to be here.
In your words, what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a cinematographer. Another name for it is director of photography. And I like to think I take a script.
Okay, so the final things we want to do after I've fixed that thing that I just ranted about way too much, sorry guys, is I need to drop in, every guest has tried, I'm trying to get like a few images off people. Not a lot, because this is supposed to be a podcast you can just listen to, but like, I don't know, I want it to be a little bit more, you know. If I'm going to put all this video time and effort into, and money, because it's time is money, I just want it to be like a little, just a teeny bit better for you YouTube scabs. All right, let's go. Done. Love it. Moving on. Let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to have Phil creeping in the side. Ooh, that's a good shot. All right. Position. Little Ken Burns effect.
Side as a visual story. So there's many ways. If you tell us,
I love like these posts with him. It's like, you know what? Is he in the Arctic? Is he on a green screen? Or sorry, is he on a volume set? I don't know. Boom. All right, little love and affection there. Where we go.
It and come out the other side as a visual story. So there's many ways. If you tell a story, you
Okay.
can tell it in many.
This is great. I'm gonna stop now, and that is me finishing another episode. Let's set the title and we're also going to use cool coloring to know which ones have not been done. Also, I need to import Polly's and the other young woman that we interviewed already. All right, these are all looking good. Good. Fucking yeah, man. Micah. I only truly trust people I've played Dungeons and Dragons with, and it's always funny seeing we brought Micah on to play D&D with me and my other buddies from the Flash, and immediate leader. She played a druid, and it was like, oh, you hear a sound down the hallway, and she's like, that's a trap. Let's keep going. And I'm like, fuck, it was a trap. Anybody who's a good leader in life and death Dungeons and Dragons situations is fine in my books. All right, guys. It's been a pleasure. That was editing the 4th episode of Life in the Circus Crew Tales, the podcast. I'm now gonna shut this down and I will start it up after I have a brief bathroom break. And yeah, well, that was an hour and a half of my life I won't get back, but cool. Okay. So thank you for joining me, friends. Thank you for being my accountability buddy.